Hello, I'm Katri Kolesnik, Head of Business Technology Forum. This is the 10th video of a series of interviews with business technology leaders. This year we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of Business Technology Standard, and we decided to interview some CIOs and other business technology leaders from some of the most successful private and public sector organizations and share it through Business Technology Forum. Our 10th interview is with Juha Huovinen, founder and chairman of the board of Business Technology Forum. I met Juha in Espoo, Finland, where he is located, to talk about business technology past, present and future. Welcome, Juha, to this interview.
Thank you, Katri.
So this is actually, we are approaching the end of year 2020, and this is also ending our 10th anniversary of Business Technology Standard. And this is the last interview we are having.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So before we go on and look at the future, so let's have a look at what happened 10 years ago when Business Technology Standard was created. So can you think of what happened then and what was the need for this standard?
So we discussed with CIOs and CFOs. CFOs was on those days typically the boss for the CIOs, and we tried to define how to actually run the IT organization. And we tried to use COVID, but even the executive summary was too complex, at least for me and for them as well, to explain that one. And then we realized that actually we couldn't find any model which is simple enough to explain how to run IT like a business and explain for the business people. And that's when we decided actually to create this simple, understandable model for that purpose.
How was it then, back then, if we think of how the businesses were run and how they used the technology, if you still can recall? So how were things?
10 years back, so IT was really a support function. So it aligned itself with the business, but it was not in a business core. Even if the business was really relying on the business solutions and really dependent on the IT, still IT was a support function for the business.
Then what was the purpose of this model? To raise the competence of the IT or open the eyes of the business, or what was the actual purpose of doing this model?
The idea behind this, the whole model was really to improve the dialogue between IT and business. And it's still visible in this model. If you look at the red demand, so that's the heaviest part in this model. So it's really where we put our focus, how to really have that kind of dialogue and cooperation with business. And the rest is something which can be done, of course not without business, but it can really be done quite a lot under IT steering.
From the beginning, the standard was an open source framework. Why is it an open source standard?
We decided to make it open source from the very beginning because that was the only way to make it, let's say, widely used, something which constantly developed further with several organizations and customers, and also we were a small organization. We didn't have that kind of luxury to have dozens of people to develop the model. So we decided to do that with several organizations, several customer organizations, several public organizations. And in order to do that and use their help, we decided to give them back what we develop. So that was the idea behind that one.
What was the reaction first when the model was launched?
So the reaction was really good from the very beginning. So I think we really succeed to make a model which is simple, consistent, and still quite extensive. So it's quite difficult actually to combine those elements together. So make a simple and extensive at the same time. But I think we succeed with that one.
Now looking back and seeing the different versions being developed over the 10 years, so how has the role of IT changed, or how has the relationship between the business and IT changed?
Somewhere in the second and And third version, I think the role of IT changed to developing the business. So really developing the business processes. So really the partner for the business. Now in fourth version and in this business technology standard, it's really the core capability for the business. So it's not anymore model for the IT to run IT organization. It's really the model for the business to run business technology management.
How well the business is receiving this message and starting to take, so in a way, the ownership of making decisions for the technology and steering the technology development.
Very well. So they are really delighted to see this kind of model because it's understandable. So they can really understand pretty much every single word which we have in a PD standard public version. So they really like it. So in that sense, it's well taken. But of course, there is a long journey still to come from idea that IT is run by the IT function to the thinking that this is a core business capability. So still, there is quite a long journey to be done for the business actually to take over this kind of capability.
So if we would be now addressing to the business people and you were to tell them what they should understand about the business technology and business technology standard, what would you say to them?
The key thing is really to understand that the whole model has been created to create business value. So whatever we have in this model is really focusing on how to create the business value. And still we need to have the IT organization because that's the best way actually to have a certain talents, similar practices, capability development, that kind of thing. But the business should really think that they own the demand, how the development is done, and what are the outcomes in the services. So really that kind of thinking that this is a business capability and it's really focusing on business value creation.
So if we think that this model is now a tool for the business to manage the development of business with the help of the technology, how much understanding do the business people need to have?
I think if we take any modern business leader, they have enough understanding. So they do understand the whole model. If they just read it, so they will understand that immediately. I think that every single organization is ready to deploy this model.
Let's look at what's happening today and where we are at in terms of developing the business and using technology to develop either new business or run our current business more efficiently. So what would you describe being the challenges today for the business?
The challenge at the moment is that the technology is becoming maybe even too important for the business. In that sense that we are also deploying the technology-driven methodologies as well, like SAFe. It's a perfect methodology for software development. But trying to apply that for the business and changing the whole business, I think that's a little bit too much. So the technology is really the key element for the business to transform the business, but it shouldn't dictate how the business is actually run and developed.
So how can you manage that so that the technology is not taking over on how you run your business?
I think it's quite simple, implementing the business technology standard, because that's keeping the things in balance. So it's really setting the business on a driver's seat. It's giving the IT the responsibility to make sure that the disciplines has been followed, and then together they will do the value creation from demand through the development to operations and business value realization.
Looking a bit further, like a year to the next year and 2 years from now, what do you see happening?
I think what's happening in the market is really what has been defined now in the business technology standard. So one of the latest additions we did embedded the data governance within this model as well. So I think the data, technology, business development, they are all merging together, and that's how we have now defined the business technology standard as well.
What are the next development steps within the business technology standard?
We have added the data governance over here. We have really added the good compliance with the SAFE as well, so you can really implement the value streams using the SAFE methodology. And I think that the next things we add in this model is really going a little bit further, helping the organizations to deploy this model in a simple way. Because the challenge with the current methodologies, SAFE, COBIT, ITIL, is that it's quite heavy to implement and deploy. So I would like to see that really how we really add the elements and illustrations and do-it-yourself type of training for this model to make it really simple for organizations to deploy this model as well.
What your advice would be the young professionals starting the career within the business technology?
If they spend 2 days by reading this model, doing the green card certification, I think they have achieved a lot. So in the understanding one of the core elements in a current business, how to manage the business and technology development, so they have achieved in 2 days maybe the level of the most of the business leaders. So I think that's quite a good start for any career.
Very good, that's a good challenge. Nowadays, business technology standard is quite widely used in Nordic countries. Also, there are users outside of the Nordic region. So, what are the steps to raise the awareness globally?
First of all, I think that we should be really proud of our Nordic roots. So, Nordics are really known on the simple, straightforward type of approach, managing business in a very ethical way. It's a very good brand and foundation taking this model to other countries as well. So currently we have a very good development partners from UK as well, and UK is really known as the home of the best methodology. That's our next major let's say region to take this further through the universities to public and private organizations, and it's widely used already in so many countries that we don't even know how many organizations are really using, because it's open source and available free for everyone.
With the other interviews with the CIOs and other business technology leaders, we've been also talking a lot about how to balance the work life and the private life. So what's your recipe?
So that's a good question. Good work, good personal life, they goes nicely together, and they are in balance in most of the time. But of course, having the wife and 4 daughters will keep you busy in the home as well, and making sure that you are not working all the time.
So there are some pauses in your life when you do not think of the next model, what should be developed to the business technology standard.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Juha.
Thank you.